Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Howdy, all y'all. This is Red O'Loughlin. We're on the Talking Heads. No, we're on the Wise Ones. I just got finished doing the show, The Talking Heads. We're on the Wise Ones today, this time on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Welcome back to our weekly show where we have a chance to chat, have a really good time with some interesting people. Today, Kim Lengling will be joining us, and she's been on the show before, but not on the Wise Ones. And so I'm going to introduce Kim at this moment, and please join us. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you, Red?
Exceptionally well. And before we get started, I have to say one thing. You have a great smile.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Kim is an author. She's has her own podcast. She's very active on social media. She's done a number of things, and I'm just going to start out with Kim. Tell us a little bit about your background before you got to the show today. I mean, there's a lot in your background before you started becoming an author, before you started getting involved with broadcast and everything. So, what's the early story about Kim?
Early story. Well, I'm a veteran. I was in the Air Force. Went in right out of high school, and when I came home, struggled a bit for a while. And I do live with PTSD, and that kind of framed how I viewed the world. And it was a struggle for a long time, but thankfully I have veteran brothers and sisters that were able to grab a hold of me and get me in the direction that I needed to go. And then I was approached by someone years later if I would like to share my story in a book. And I was like, I'm not an author, and no, I don't want to share my story in a book. But they convinced me and explained to me why it should be shared. And I eventually did do that. And that was the first time I had ever written and was published as a co-author in a book. And that kind of spearheaded it into other things and doing public speaking and writing more. And I found that I kind of had a knack for writing and bringing a lot of emotion into it, like using all of my five senses and bringing emotion into it, where the readers, I regularly get comments of, you had me laughing out loud, or you brought me to tears. And that's kind of how my writing journey started. And then it all just kind of rolled into, other things as other doors opened down that long hallway that we all walk through life.
How long have you been out of the military?
A long time. It was a long, long time ago.
It's been 1999.
It's been over 30 years.
Okay.
So I'm aging myself.
Yeah. 1999 is when I retired from the Navy with 31 plus years. So yes, I don't have probably some of the same stories you do. But I may have been in some of the same places you were in. So regardless, but anyway, so you wrote this book and it became a springboard basically to future books. Is that right?
Yeah. I was the co-author in an anthology. And so that gave me a little bit of taste of it. And I thought, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. And I think I do have some stuff to say, And so it was years later, though, because I was, married, a mom with my daughter still living at home, a dog, taking care of stuff. I worked full time. So any writing or anything that I did was in the evenings or in my spare time. And when my daughter was off on her own, when she went off to college, all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, it seems like I have all this free time and I'm not sure what to do with myself. And who is Kim? And, many parents out there can probably resonate with that feeling. When you get that empty nest, all of a sudden you're going, what am I supposed to do with myself? So I decided to delve a little farther into deep, writing and attending writers conferences and things like that. And I did that for years. For years. And then the pandemic came. And I always say, the world changed. You have to say it with drama. And I decided to do my own thing. So now I'm writing full time, and I've started a podcast 3 years ago, and I'm doing that. So I found out who Kim was again. Let's put it that way.
Let me fix that. I noticed you have volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and you use the word grace a lot. So give us a little hint about your definition of grace and how that really and truly affected your life.
That was all big part of the journey of also my writing as well. I had told myself, I'm a Christian, and I had told myself for a very long time, many, many years, that I didn't believe in God. And if he did exist, I didn't really care for him. And had quite a bit of anger carrying around with me. And, looking back, I'm thinking, I kind of chuckle at myself saying, Kim, how can you be angry at or have bitterness towards something you say you don't believe in? So my faith played a huge part in my, I guess you could say, healing and being able to move forward and not carry such dark, heavy weight with me all the time. So my faith helped me move forward. And when I began writing more, this was also at the beginning of the pandemic, when there's the books, it's a 3-book series, When Grace Found Me. And it was a sentence that just came into my head, when grace found me. And I knew the moment it did. And as things happen, I was connected with a lovely, beautiful soul in the UK. And she's a publisher and publishes faith-based books. And we ended up connecting, and her and I worked together on these 3 anthologies called When Grace Found Me, volume 1, 2, and 3. And it's stories of women from all over the world sharing their moments of when grace found them and how it impacted their lives for the better.
I know we didn't talk about it before we started, but I'm going to talk to our production manager right now and ask her to try to pull up your website, because I'd like to have people take a look at your books. So here very shortly, we'll have a chance to bring your website up and show people the covers of those books. But so When Grace Found You, is there going to be volume 4, 5, and 6?
No, we stopped at 3 on that. The most recent book that was published, which is another anthology, it was published last November, right, like a few days before Thanksgiving, and it's called When Hope Found Me. And hope has been something it's kind of been a mission of mine to toss out hope. And I call it nuggets of hope. You need to toss out nuggets of hope every day. Being kind. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind. And the world needs more of it, in my opinion. So the last book published is When Hope Found Me. And I'm currently working on a book called Nuggets of Hope. And it's sharing a journey that I've been traveling the last couple years, where I'm actually giving nuggets of hope to people, physically giving little stones that have the word hope engraved on them, approaching strangers when I'm out and about doing my errands or whatever, and just walking up to them and saying, excuse me, I would love to give you a nugget of hope today. And without fail, they've held out their hand, and I just gently place it in the palm of their hand. And I've gotten thank yous. I've gotten smiles. I've gotten nervous laughter. I've gotten a couple looks where it's like, who are you? you? And why are you talking to me? And I've had one older gentleman yell at me in anger. And each one of those interactions has been a blessing because I don't take any of the anger that the gentleman, I didn't take that personally. I just had such a strong feeling he needed that nugget of hope. And if he didn't appreciate it that day, he might look at it the next day and say, oh, yeah, hope. I remember what that is. So you never know how you can impact someone's life. And me giving these nuggets of hope out to people, I've been doing this for close to 2 years now. It has had such an impact on me. Oh my goodness. I'm very, very empathetic, very empathetic. And I always feel strongly nudged to a specific person when I'm out and about in public. And I'll see someone and I'll be like, oh, I have to give that person a nugget of hope. And so that's kind of what I've been doing lately and writing about it. So I'm keeping all these stories together and I'm putting them all together. And that's going to be hopefully by the end of this year, my latest book out will be Nuggets of Hope. And it's going to be my journey of giving nuggets of hope to people.
So the guy who chastised you, for lack of a better word, actually took and kept the nugget?
Yes. He was an older gentleman, mid to late 80s. And when I had said, I said, excuse me, sir, I would love to give you a nugget of hope today. He held out his hand. I put it in his palm of his hand. And he just looked at me and said, what the hell do I have to hope for? And he yelled it. And I said, sir, I pray that whatever it is you do hope for, you receive. And he was just angry. And that's okay. That's okay. I can be angry at times too, when life is slamming you from every side. He did take it. He put it in his pocket. And I don't feel I'm supposed to stand there and get their story. I'm just supposed to wish them a blessed day and be on my way. And that's what I do. But when I got into my car after that interaction with that gentleman, I broke down in tears. Head on my steering wheel and my arms on my steering wheel, just crying because I had all these pictures going in my head of this gentleman thinking, okay, maybe he's been really, really ill. And this is the first time in months he's been able to get out and do errands and pick up some stuff. And he's so darn tired. He's so tired. He just wants to be done with it and get home and he can't find what he's looking for. Maybe he just lost his wife because he was yelling about dish soap. Maybe he just lost his wife and it's the first time he went shopping without her and he couldn't find that specific dish soap that she always used. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for him that day. He's just trying to get through each day by day, maybe minute by minute. And I caught him in an off minute. And that's okay because he took that. So if he didn't, accept it or appreciate it that day, maybe he went home, put all his stuff away, emptied his pockets at the end of the day, put all of it in a bowl on a table in the hallway. And maybe the next day when he's starting his day, he grabs all his stuff and shoves it back in his pocket so he's ready for the day. And he noticed that nugget of hope. And maybe he looked at it and maybe then it sparked something in him that life really isn't so bad and he could get through another day. If it wasn't that day, maybe it was the next. But he took it and he has it. And that's all I'm supposed to do. That's how I strongly feel. Just give those little nuggets and they will work on people as they are meant to work.
I notice you have in part of your some of the words you select, fear is one. Tell us a little bit about your maybe experiences or side story with fear and how that came into your life.
Wow. Fear. Good question, Red. That's a good one. Fear can come in many forms for many people. It's different for everybody. fear for me was always never admitting to fear. Never admitting to fear. I never did. Never admitted to fear. Until you're put in a position where you're just filled with fear. And mine was while I was in the military, through an experience that I went through. And that stuck with me, but it also brought with it lack of self-worth. It also brought with it a bit of bitterness and a lot of anger, anxiety, depression, panic attacks. It brought a lot. And fear as the umbrella, I think all that goes underneath that. That's just for me. That's my own perception, my own way of viewing it. And it's a tough one to carry. And so my journey has been to beat back fear, because the way I look at it is fear it's just a part of the devil. That's how I look at it. And I call him the D-man. I don't even want to give him a formal name, I call him the D-man. I'm like, well, not today. You're not hanging out with me today, because you hung out with me for years. And I felt horrible for years. Worthless. What was I doing here? What was the point? What was the point of being here? And when you reach that level of questioning your existence and why you're even here, that brought me fear too. That brought a little bit of fear, because I was like, Kim, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? I don't want anybody to ever feel that way. And I was able to crawl out of it with help. Thank the Lord. And I think that's a big part of why I'm on this hope thing. And it came as it was supposed to come. I don't think I was supposed to be tossing out nuggets of hope years ago. I think I was supposed to do it now, the last couple years, because I know what it's like to be in that spot, that dark spot. And there's so many there right now. So many. And that's not where we're meant to be. We're not meant to live in fear and darkness and depression. We're not meant to live that way. So if I can take my dorky, wonky self, approach strangers, and people can look at me and think I'm weird or crazy, you know what? That's okay. Because I'm going to keep on doing it. Does that answer your question?
Yes. How did your experience, how did things change through the pandemic for you?
Golly. That was a good one. That was a good one, Red. Pandemic opened a lot of doors. And I know that it was awful for many, many people. But for me, I had no problem being isolated. I had no problem being on my own. But I lost my job at that time. I had a very good job. I was in sales and marketing for over 25 years. That was my thing. And I lost my job like many, many, many others did at the beginning of that, when the world changed. And when I lost my job, I had a little anger there. And I told myself, Kim, you know what? Be angry for 24 hours. Done. 24 hours, done. So I was quite angry. And I was really good at it. I nailed it for 24 hours. And then I, woke up the next day and said, all right, time to pull up your big girl panties, Kim. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? And what do you want to do? So I figured that out, and I was like, well, I want to write more. I like public speaking. I've been doing that for years. I want to write more. And hey, there's something about this podcasting thing. Maybe I'll look into that. And at that time, as you well know, Red, fear was everywhere. It was floating in the air. I mean, it's like you were breathing it. You could smell it. You couldn't turn on the radio, the television, anything, get on your phone without something being thrown at you to cause fear. And to me, I was like, no, not today and not tomorrow. So I was like, armor up, Kim, armor up. And when all those little poison darts of fear come flying at you, they're going to ping off you. So you're going to let fear bounce, let it bounce. And that's kind of been my mantra for the last several years since that whole thing began. Let fear bounce. Just, for me, I'm letting fear bounce because I cannot let that rule my life. I did that before. It won't happen again. And that's actually why the name of my podcast is Let Fear Bounce. That's why I named my podcast Let Fear Bounce. Because at that time, fear was everywhere and no way was I going to let it land on me.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to say it out loud is to let something go. My wife and I, she had breast cancer. She recovered from it. We went over to Spain, walked 500 miles in 30 days on the Camino de Santiago. And I told her at the very beginning, this is my Let It Go tour. And that first day was probably one of the most disruptive I've ever had in my life. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I just kept saying to myself, let it go, let it go, let it go, just let it go. And sometimes, Red, let it go. You have to know that there's something bothering you, and you have to literally shout it sometimes to separate your brain from what's around you. And I'm hearing that same thing come from you, is the fact that fear, when you know it's coming, you can be proactive. But if you're not aware of it and it hits you and hits you and hits you and it hits you, pretty soon, it doesn't take long before, anxiety, depression, other things can, open the back door. And before you know it, you're having some issues. Not you personally, but people in general can, because they are not aware of things.
Right.
So you.
Right. It feels like it sneaks up on you, but really it wasn't sneaking. It was just crawling in over a long period of time,
Incrementally. Yeah. So you changed a little bit. You wrote more. You started looking at a podcast, and that's kind of where you're at today. So tell the world about what do you offer with regard to your podcast and your books and your speaking. Who is the Kim of today?
The Kim of today, I'm the one that's just, promoting kindness and taught, like I said, tossing out nuggets of hope. That's what I'm doing. And I want to hear other people's stories and other authors. I love talking to other authors and how their journey, how they came to be an author, and maybe what fears they had to overcome. Or, a lot of times, Red, I think most times, actually, for people who are creative, whether you're a musician, I believe that you draw on things from your past that you can pull out and use in your creativity, and use it to touch someone else. And to me, I think that's like that's so, and it's the blessing. I'm not sure if you're still hearing me, because the connection seemed a little strange. Can you still hear me, Red?
I still heard you
can't
through
hear
that.
you.
It was testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I heard you. What you were saying. I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
There was some little breakups in between, so I don't know if it was bandwidth or whatever it may happen to be. But yes, I heard what you were saying. But sometimes the image froze a little bit and the voice continued, and sometimes the video was going and you could tell it wasn't synced. Regardless, but I did hear through that whole thing. Yes, thank you.
Right.
And so you're connecting with other authors, and they're sharing their stories, maybe their fears, maybe their things that they're grateful for, whatever it may happen to be. And that's part of your show on your podcast. Is that who you're looking for guests?
Yeah, that's it's just, it's a casual chat. just between two folks. I'm always saying, bring your cup of coffee and let's just sit back, relax, and chat. And I've met the most amazing people the last several years from all over the world, just amazing people, people who have brought me to tears. They've humbled me. They've blessed me. And I love to be able to give a platform to others to share their story. You know, we're all history books and we each have a story. And it doesn't have to be a traumatic story, you know, but everybody has a story. And there are those out there who need to hear it. Now, your story is probably, it's not for everyone, just like my story is not for everybody. But for those that hear it, that it is for, just think of the positive impact you can have.
Mhm.
So for my podcast, that's I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it because I'm able to share some stuff or things that I'm going through now, and my guests share some stuff, and you never know where it's landing. You never know where it's landing, and I think that's also part of the beauty of it. We don't need to know where it's landing. You know, I don't focus on numbers and all of that. My focus is get the guests on there, have them relaxed enough to share something, you know, be raw, be real, because I know someone out there needs to hear their story. So that's that's why I started the podcast, and 167 plus episodes in now, still going, and I'm still enjoying every minute of it. So yeah.
Who's an ideal, not client, who's an ideal guest for your show? If you had to say, I would love to have somebody like that, so who would that be?
You know, I don't have one specific type. I've had doctors on, I've had social workers on, I've had filmmakers on, musicians on, authors on. It's just if someone has a raw, authentic story that they would like to share and how that built them to what they're doing now and who they are now, and it built them in a positive, might have been a really rocky road to get there, but you still came out the other end, you know, stronger, better, impacting the world in a positive way. I love to talk to people who are making their own impact, positive impact on the world. That's so, you know, you could be anything. It doesn't, titles don't matter to me. You know, if you're making a big impact on the world, or even your slice of the world. That's why I always say I can't change the world, but I can change one person's world. I want to hear those stories, by golly. You know, there's a gentleman, him and his sons, I talked to last year, and I connected with him because he was making hope baskets. And I went, got to talk to this guy. And unfortunately, he had lost his wife to cancer. And his sons said, we want to do something to help other people. And they came up with sunshine. They made sunshine baskets or something like that, yellow, you know, the color for hope and all of that. And it just kind of morphed into it a little, you know, got a little bigger and a little bigger. And now they make these hope baskets and they send them to people who are currently going through treatment to help boost them, you know, and let them know that people care and that, you know, hey, you've got this, you know, so something like that. And that was a gentleman who's a school teacher, you know, and he just had a story to share. And I thought that was worth sharing. So yeah, anybody's got you're making a positive impact on the world, even your small slice of the world. I love sharing those stories. Just love it.
Fantastic. Why don't we bring up your website and you can take us on a little guided tour and show us what's available there?
Okay.
I'm going to let you do the directing since you're more familiar with the website than I am, Kim.
Okay. That's me. Just me saying hi, welcome to my website. Then we scroll down. And that's where you can find, that's the most recent episode of my podcast. So those are always there. I have new episodes every Wednesday, and each Wednesday they go up on all of the podcast platforms, but it also automatically goes onto my website. So that's the most recent right there. And you can find all of the episodes. Once you click on one, you can, it takes you to Spotify, and you can listen to whatever ones you want to. Those are my books. Those are the Grace 1, 2, and 3, When Grace Found Me. And then the one farthest to the left, When Hope Found Me. That is the most recent one. And as you can see, I got my little nugget of hope there, tossing in the water, causing those ripples of goodness. That's why I chose that kind of cover. But those are the most recent books. And, when you click on that button, it'll take you to my Amazon page, because they're all on Amazon. And then there's other ones on Amazon as too, journals and things like that. Those are a few other books that I was a co-author in. That one in the middle, Inspire, that was the very first book that started it all. That's when a colleague that I knew, asked me if I would like to participate as a co-author, and that's the book that was the very first time I was ever published. That was 2014. Those are just other fun things. I like doing journals and things like that. So that's just what those are, just basic journals. And I was diagnosed with a rare form of diabetes. So I decided to make a few diabetes journals too, for people that might have, a wonky kind of diabetes like I do. And there you have it. That's pretty much, you can find it all on my website. You can contact me, find out about my books and the podcast, and, anything else I might be doing.
I've wondered over time, when you read a good book and then they make a movie of it, and all of a sudden, well, they left out that, or maybe they couldn't put it in the 2 or 3 hours or whatever. But you have a little thing up there that's kind of a catch on words, The Right Stuff. And the movie, The Right Stuff, is a very small book. It's actually much smaller than you would expect it to be. The movie was spectacular, but it followed the book almost like it was a mandatory thing to do. It's amazing how the movie and the book are so close together in the actual presentation being shown on the movie. I said, The Right Stuff. Well, tell me about The Right Stuff, Kim.
Well, The Right Stuff is actually, it's a television show. There hasn't been any new episodes up for a while. There's been some personal issues with the folks who, they've had a lot of things happening in life. Life has been happening very hard for them, the CEO of the company. But The Right Stuff is on the Believe in Your Dreams television network, and I'm one of the shows on there. And that is, it's WRITE, The Right Stuff. And that is literally, I only have authors on, sharing their author journey, what made them want to write, what type of stuff do they write? If they write horror, how in the world do you come up with all that scary stuff? And I've had comic book authors on there too. How do you come up with those short stories, for comics? Because that's just not how my brain goes. So to me, it's fascinating to talk to authors and to find out kind of what makes them tick, where they get their ideas from, and how their characters, how they build their worlds, and how they, how those characters come to life for them. And are they always with them, their characters? Are they always with them, talking in their heads? And the answer is most of the time, yes. And I just found that fascinating. But that's what my television show is. There's 8 episodes up on there, but those episodes are probably close to 2 years old now. So there's new episodes coming. I just don't have a date. I'm just one of the shows, so I'm not the decision maker. So I'm patiently waiting, and we can get more episodes up on that. But that's on the Believe in Your Dreams television network, and it was really exciting to become a part of that, and to meet the people that I was meeting. And, I've had USA Today bestselling authors on there, New York Times bestselling authors. And like I said, when the world changed, different doors were opening that I never would have anticipated and I never foresaw. So, I'm on a journey that I never thought that I'd be on. And I'm loving it. it's wonderful getting to meet so many different people and, hear how they have had an impact and how what their work is. Their work has a positive impact, no matter what it might be. So yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
Most authors, most writers that I know love to read. Can I assume that's the same for you? And if so, what do you love to read?
I am an avid reader. I've been an avid reader since I could read. I would say 5, 6 years old. I currently still to this day read at least 2 books a week. I like to read everything. It depends. Like I kind of get in these modes. Like sometimes I'll be all, Stephen King, you know, read the scary stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. Then I'll want to read historical fiction. So I'll be in a mode for that. Then sometimes I just want some fluff, some chick flicks or chick lit, read some of that stuff for a while. So I like reading everything. I like biographies every once in a while. I do like a lot of historical fiction though. That does pull me in and fascinates me. But yeah, I read all the time, at least 2 books a week. Yeah.
You mentioned speaking. What are some of the topics that you speak about?
It's typically about, well, a lot of it for years was just living with PTSD. And I was asked to speak at a lot of women's groups and church groups locally here in the area that I live in. And I'm asked to speak at a lot of like Memorial Day events, Veterans Day events, things like that. So that's mostly what I do. It's mostly veteran related that I speak on, but more and more online. I've been asked to not only share part of that, but how it brought me to where I'm at now, and sharing about my little nuggets of hope and my writing journey, of the faith-based books and things like that. Just talking about my journey and how life can kick you over and over, but you don't need to stay down, you know? And if you feel like you can't get up, there's someone there that can help you. And so that's what I actually, that's what I talk about is hope. I guess I talk a lot about hope and veteran related things. For years, I've been doing that in my local area.
As we're getting toward the end of the show, was there a question that you had hoped I'd ask that we hadn't had a chance to talk about today?
No, but I got to tell you, the one about fear, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Well,
I had never been asked that before. So I'm glad you threw me. I like that when that happens because I'm learning something about myself too every day.
well, I can give you a last couple minutes here. Tell people how you can help them. How can people reach you? Anything that all we can help market you and the programs you have going.
Folks, if you want to get in touch with me or see what it is I'm up to, like we had said earlier, you can get right onto my website, which is just my name, KimLenglingAuthor.com. Shows you everything on there. I am always open to hearing folks' stories. So if you think that you might be a good fit for my podcast, reach out to me through the contact page on my website. I'm also in the midst of thinking of a couple more anthologies that I want to put together. Now, I am working on 2 books right now. So this isn't anything that would be happening right away, but hopefully published early to mid next year. Another anthology. So if you would like to be a co-author in an anthology, reach out again through my website and just say, hey, heard you on this show and you have, a story you think might fit an anthology. I'm not sure what direction we're going with it yet, but just think about it. Something to think about. But that's what I'm doing. That's what I do. My podcast and the anthologies. I really do enjoy bringing people together and being able to put all those together and then get other people's stories out into the world that way. And a lot of times it's folks who've never been published before. So that's always fun too, to give people that opportunity. So that's pretty much it. I'm pretty simple.
Okay, for our audio audience that can't see the crawler, it's Kim, Kim, Lengling, Lengling, author, author.com. So Kim Lengling, author.com. And Kim, I really and truly appreciate it today. I didn't mean to bring tears to your eyes with a question, um, but again, you said that you love challenges, and I didn't realize that was a challenge. I just thought because your podcast was named that there must have been some reason why. But I'm glad that you were able to share your emotional feelings, and that is a big thing sometimes, to share that kind of emotion.
Yeah, you got to keep it real, Red. You got to keep it real. I'm telling you.
So, anyway, I'll catch you later on, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the show, and take care. And I look forward to joining you on one of your shows here very shortly.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Be well.
Take care, Kim. This is Red O'Laughlin getting ready to sign off on The Wise Ones on USA Global TV and Radio Network every Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. We're having a special show today immediately following this one. We had to revamp the schedule. My normal show for the Talking Heads usually occurs in about 10 or 15 minutes. We had that show just before this one today so that we could accommodate schedules. There's going to be another, first time ever, that we've had a double show back-to-back on The Wise Ones. And so I have to, actually, I don't have to. Normally I'd have to put on my running shoes and go over to the other studio and get ready for Talking Heads, but I've already done that. So all I'm going to do is take a glass of water, cool down for a minute or two, and get ready to start the next show. So thanks, Kim, for joining us today. And very shortly, we're going to have another episode of The Wise Ones on USA TV and Global US Global TV and Radio Network. Again, Red O'Laughlin. Catch you all next week. Take care. Bye, y'all.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.